time twice in one night.
Second time today, twice in one night. This is the record. Okay.
Pledge allegiance.
Hold on. I'd just like to introduce our Commissioner from Rye-Town Park Commissioner, Benny Salinitro.
Okay,
He's going to lead us in the pledge. Benny has been a wonderful commissioner for the last 8 years. He's been a invaluable, all joking aside, valuable resource to the town. He's an engineer, and he couldn't have been a better commissioner. Thank you so much for your service. And would you be so kind to lead us in the pledge?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Heavenly Father, grant us, bless this assemblage, and grant us the wisdom to make our every decision fair-minded and the best interest for all its residents. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay. Ms. Vespia, would you call the roll, please?
Okay, I call the meeting of June 16th, 2015 to order. Councilpersons Collins.
Now, she
Nardi.
told us a month ago she couldn't make it. Unfortunately, she had a commitment she couldn't get out of. And she asked us to try and change the meeting, but unfortunately we couldn't, obviously.
Okay. Nardi.
Here.
Nioras.
Here.
Villanova.
Yes. Here.
And Supervisor Carvin.
Yep. Okay, we're going to kick off with President Bridge Report presentation. Tom, how do I pronounce your last name? Ahneman.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom. I didn't want to take it, mess it up.
I'm honored. Good evening, members of the board. As the supervisor just said, I'm Tom Ahneman from Ahneman Kirby, and we are the engineers of record for the Otter Creek Bridge. As many of you know, the New York State DOT placed a yellow flag on the Otter Creek Bridge back in May of 2011 because of the wing wall approach on the southeast side. That was permitted in 2012. The work was done. The wing wall was repaired. Scoured soils were replaced and compacted. The approach was fixed, and all construction was completed in 2013. The bridge superstructure was also cited in that report, and that's rolled steel beams with a concrete deck. And we have been trying to get the steel superstructure painted since 2013. We have all the work is permitted. We've got it from DEC, Army Corps, the Coast Guard, all the local permits, but we've had trouble with the painting. The specifications were very complicated. We went out for bid. We got some very high numbers come back. So we went out for bid a second time. Again, high numbers came back. We have interviewed a number of the painting contractors to figure out what that's all about. And we've learned that the specifications were too broad. The New York State DOT specs that were included in the technical aspect of the work were too broad. They gave them way too many conditions by which they could choose and pick what they were going to be doing for preparation and for paints. And so that, along with the environmental permitting and the environmental protections that are called out in New York State DOT specifications, way too complicated. So what we've done is we've gone through the specifications and we've narrowed the specs down to 8 pages. The specifications were 47 pages. But what we've done is we've gone through the specs and we've handpicked specifically what the environmental protection should be, what the preparation should be using power tools and manual labor, what paints and primers will be used. And so we've gotten it down to 8 pages, and we feel very confident. We've talked to a number of contractors, and this should be something that's going to come in with a much more reasonable price. We're waiting to hear on some of the paints. We've hand-chosen 3 paints for primer and finish, and we're waiting on some costs on those paints. We're trying to balance the cost with the cure time for the painting, and we're very excited about getting this out to bid again and getting a qualified contractor to do such a small job. Because that's the problem, is that it's a small job, and yet the specifications were making it sort of sound like a big job, and therefore only the big contractors were bidding the project. But I think now we could get a smaller contractor a qualified contractor and get this done. Now, all the specs that we've revamped are all in accordance with the New York State DOT. What we've done is just narrowed the field. We've gone in and hand-selected and specified exactly what we want.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that presentation. Questions from the board?
What will be the, Tom, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. And, I don't know, I watch this a little bit closely than maybe I should. But where are we now with the new timeline?
The new timeline, well, we have, we're making 3 parts, and we're actually going to bid all 3 parts. We're bidding the environmental protection as one part. We're going to bid the restoration, which is all the prep work, as a second part, and then we're going to bid the preservation as a third part, which is the actual painting. We're trying to break it out like that to reduce insurance requirements and the complications. We feel some people are specialized in environmental protection on the coastline and can come in and do that kind of stuff, whereas your average painter can do the prep and the painting. So the timeline would be, we're going to let this for bid probably over the next 2 weeks, and we would expect numbers in by mid to late July.
So can we say that we should look to have something to us by July's meeting, third week of July?
We could do that, yes.
Okay.
That's going to be what date?
Hope, do you have that next meeting?
Oh, the next meeting.
I have it here. Hold on. I get it. The 21st.
Yes.
Too aggressive?
No, I think we can do that. We were talking about this evening at my office, so we're going to try to get the bid packages out by the end of this week so we can get numbers back so we can bring them to you. You can make a decision, because I wasn't sure if you meet in August.
We do, every month.
Okay.
Okay, so that's good, and I will say I appreciate the effort bringing that bid package from 47 pages down to 8. Yeah, I actually think that's something that we experienced here in the town of Rye with just doing some of the renovations we want to do. We have this massive bid package, and there's only a limited amount of people that bid on it. And it's hard for us to make a decision, or let's just say, the best decision, because you have such a limited field of people. So we should probably take the Ahneman queue and look to reduce these bids packages from multiple pages down to a finite group. So I appreciate that. I want to thank you for coming. I know that I probably sounded a little aggressive last month, but the truth is, we went from this being a project for 2014. Trying to get it done into the winter months, and we missed the winter months, and we've missed spring so far, and if we don't act on this now, we're going to miss 2015, and I don't want to be in that position, considering that this is a project that's been going on since 2011.
Correct, yeah, and it's not just our playbook. We've been working very hard with Mr. Nowotnik and Mr. Nardi and Mr. DiCrescenzo, and everybody's shared in the input and trying to get this thing into a more normal size so we could get a qualified contractor at the right price.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Again, Tom, thanks so much for coming this evening. We very much appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Okay, the minutes from the meeting of May 19th. Are there any questions, comments on those minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting of May 19th?
So moved?
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I see we have a presentation or comments from Ms. Lopez. Nice to see you, Blanca.
Thank you all. Good evening. Supervisor Carvin, Town Council, Ms. Vespia, Wright Town staff. Yes, my name is Blanca Lopez, and I'm here on behalf of Human Development Services of Westchester. We are a multi-service, not-for-profit organization with a office here in Port Chester. We are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, so we provide a lot of services to not just Port Chester residents, but also Wright Town residents and throughout the county with different types of housing counseling issues, whether they are foreclosure prevention, HECM counseling, tenant-landlord mediation, or rental arrears, and homeless prevention, and pre-purchase as well. Just giving you some background on this presentation, basically about 10 years ago, the Council of Community Services had offered a housing summit that they did in 2004 and 2005, focusing primarily on pre-purchase and financial education and whatnot. For 10 years, it lay dormant. We did not do this type of program until, as part of our strategic planning that we were doing for the agency, we felt that a housing summit would be something that we want to do and bring back. But we had a specific theme in mind, which had to do with safe and healthy homes. As you know, especially in the village of Portchester, we have a close to a 50-50 ratio of home ownership and rentals. And we wanted to provide workshops to people, not just who are renters, but also homeowners and even landlords about where they're living, who they rent to, also to know more about like rights and responsibilities for landlords, for renters, and also the type of environment that you have in your home and how it affects your health. So that being said, we are having an event on this coming Saturday.
Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday,
Saturday.
June 20th, at the Salvation Army Community Center, which is at 36 Bush Avenue. It's a great new building. It's a beautiful building, and we thought this would be a great way to also showcase the building and have people from the community come. And it's going to be an event, a day full of workshops. We'll have 4 running in the morning, 4 running in the afternoon. The 4 in the morning are healthy homes. That will be presented by the Rye YMCA. We have rights and responsibilities of tenants and landlords, which will be given by Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. We'll have code enforcement and the permit amnesty program, which will be presented by Christopher Steers, who's the village manager for Portchester, and fair housing loss, which will be presented by Westchester Residential Opportunity. So we'll be running workshops in English and workshops in Spanish. And in between, attendees will have an opportunity to meet with vendors. We're having a mini community service fair, and vendors such as Interstate Fire and Safety, who will be actually giving away carbon monoxide alarms, smoke alarms, fire extinguishers. We'll have the Carver Center, Con Edison will be there, State Farm Insurance, U.S. Alliance Credit Union. So we have several different organizations that will be able to have the opportunity to talk to event attendees and let them know about the programs and know about the services that they offer. Lastly, we are very fortunate that we're also going to have breakfast donated by Whole Foods of Portchester, trying to keep on the healthy theme. So we have Whole Foods of Portchester, and we have La Flor de Jalisco Bakery, who will be also providing some treats. And for lunch, we'll have the Carver Center, its culinary program will be offering lunch, as well as Fidelis Care will be offering a donation of different types of treats for young and old. So I'm personally here inviting all of you. I do have some additional flyers that I would like to give to each of you, and I hope to see you there. We'll be starting off at 9 to 9:30 is registration, 9:30 remarks, and the workshops run from 10 to 11:30 in the morning, and then from 12:30 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So thank you for...
Hold just,
Sure.
I know does anybody have any, I know I have some questions. I just wanted to...
Please.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming and making the presentation. Thank you for this excellent work in
Thank
community
you.
service.
Yeah, Bishop, do we have this on the website?
No, we don't. As of right now, I don't think.
Okay. So we can,
Actually, if you can give them to the council. If they each have one?
yeah, I know we have those posted on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we can get this up on the website, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
And that's the only question I have.
Well,
No, I don't have any.
I just want to, again, thank you for all this good work. And one question I had, if somebody can't come for the first meeting, I presume it makes just as much sense to come for the second meeting. You don't have to be there all day, I would imagine.
You don't have to be there all day. You can come for the afternoon session, or you can come for the morning session, or you can stay for the whole day.
Right.
Again, it's June, it's the day before Father's Day, so I know there's a lot of things. Brooke's having its birthday.
You got baseball,
Baseball, yes, and
baseball,
softball,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
So many different things. But this is something that we want to do yearly, and each year we want to do a different topic, because as you know, housing is such an important issue that you can cover so many different things. So maybe next year we'll do pre-purchase, or maybe next year we'll do housing for seniors, something to that effect. But we felt that it was necessary to keep in mind that housing is a huge issue. It affects everybody, and that there's always a lot to learn, and it's better to learn from people in the field than from hearsay or from rumors and whatnot. So,
Well, there's no doubt that this is a terrific program. Thank you for doing it. I encourage everybody at home to come go visit. And that's 36 Bush Avenue. That's just right near the library, correct?
Yep,
Just
it's 2 blocks up. It's on Hassico. It's in the corner of Hassico and Bush Avenue.
Haskell and Bush Avenue,
Yes.
just up from the library.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Oh, please.
I'm not sure, did you mention about childcare?
Yes, there will be childcare available.
Oh, wow.
For moms who will be coming with their kids or dads or the whole family. During the workshops, we will have childcare. But other than that, for the lunch and for everything else, it can be a family event, and there'll be things for the kids as well. So we're trying to make it as family friendly as possible. It's a Saturday, so you want to make sure it's something that the whole family can do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Nice to see you.
Take care.
All right. Other comments from the public? Okay, if there's no comments from the public, we'll move right along. I think we have a perfect summer meeting. It's a light agenda, and we're going to talk about the Town of Rye Community Impact Award. Bishop, you want to sort of just walk us through this?
Okay. At the last meeting, I think there was some discussion about formalizing the process by which the town would basically issue proclamations or some sort of official recognition for people and companies that have done nice things in and around the town. So what you have in front of you is the second draft. We've been massaging this a little bit, and it just addresses the whole issue of who would be eligible, what the criteria would be for nominating. It describes the process, and it actually, we have a draft of a nominating form, if you'll see on page 2.
Well, now, so just to be clear, so this is, first of all, so the eligibility are all residents living in the town of Rye and any organization, be it a corporation, not-for-profit.
Yep.
All candidates must be nominated by a person or organization other than the nominee. So we're opening this up to the public.
As of right now,
So the
that's
public
the
can
way
make
the
recommendations.
Yes.
I mean,
Anybody
this
can.
town board is part of the public, so we can make recommendations as well. But ultimately, we're opening it up to the public. And, I have to say, this is something we've talked about for a long time. I'm glad we're finally doing it. And some might argue a little late in the administration, but I do think that we've railed here against some of the corporate citizens who are looking to underpay their taxes through a grievance process that sometimes isn't always the best for the public. And so I'm thrilled that we're in a position now to begin to nominate some of the good corporate citizens, whether they be individuals or corporations.
Well, this really just formalizes the process. I mean, we've made awards and recognition to a variety of people and a variety of companies over the past 7 years.
Yep.
But we never had a formal policy, and I think the board was asking to see if we can draft a formal policy.
Now, questions?
Yeah, my question would be, because it's going to be, a person or an organization, what about having one of each? Instead of grouping the two together, have a separate for a person and separate for an organization. Because an organization is going to have a lot more power, a lot more money to do things for the town, where somebody personal is, they're giving up their time and volunteering.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't think there's any restriction. I think if we...
It doesn't mean there's only one award.
Yeah, Tom, I don't think that the purpose of this saying that any person or organization, it could be anything, rather than, I think when it was just written to be all-encompassing, rather than saying all residents living in the town or all organizations operating in the town. I think it's a...
Okay, because I misunderstood. I thought it might have been some like a yearly thing or something.
No, it could be any time.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then okay, that's fine.
You could have 12. You could have one a month if you
Yeah,
wanted.
okay.
That was,
Yeah.
okay. I misunderstood
Yeah.
then, so then that's not a problem.
The problem, listen, there is no real problem, but the more candidates that are proposed, it lessens the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to just. We're not just going to give it out willy-nilly.
Now, in our
not
email
T-ball.
discussion leading up to this, and Mr. Noto, maybe you can help me. You know, what we don't want, the whole idea is to congratulate citizens and honor citizens and corporations that have made. I don't think we want to be up here on the board debating that, you know, and say 3 up and 2 down. So, Mr. Noto, I wanted to ask, so copies of completed nomination forms are sent to all council members. Okay, I agree with that. And can we sort of reach a consensus via email? So it's you know, this is something we don't want to be debating in public. I think, you know, people may have different ideas. I was hoping we could reach a consensus.
Well,
and then,
you can email each other and have a conversation via email, but you can't make any decisions via email. So any
Okay.
decision has to be made publicly.
right.
But I think in something like this, it won't be hard to reach a unanimous consensus because, you know, either 1 or 2 council members are going to be, this is a great idea or it's a horrible idea. You know,
Right.
so I don't think anyone needs to be embarrassed.
Right.
Which I appreciate your concern. You just can't vote by email.
Okay.
Well, we can go to executive session to vote.
Well,
Instead of-
technically, this really isn't an executive session topic.
Well, I
It's an
mean, you know, they
award.
sit up here and somebody says like,
Right. I
you
mean, it's
know.
not personnel, it's not contracts. I mean, it's a sort of a gray area. But I suspect you'd be able to, you can certainly communicate with each other by email, share your opinions. And-
I guess the gentlemen's or gentlepersons agreement would be, the whole goal is to honor community
Yeah.
members. So I think we would, in good faith, be, you know, I think ultimately if somebody had an objection to one of the candidates, we would not move forward with that person at the agenda. I think that's pretty much what we talked about via email, and I guess we can continue that practice, Mr. Noto?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the approved awards will be presented at the following council meeting and appropriate. So I guess people at home, if you have people that you think.
What is the award? What do they win?
Nothing.
Whoa, nothing.
Well, they
Nothing.
They get official
Nothing.
recognition. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But there is no cash behind the award that I'm aware of.
I mean, can we nominate Bishop? Is it,
Yeah, we
anyone can
could.
do it? I can
You
nominate
could. You'd have to
Bishop.
get 5 votes.
Right, I get that.
No, I
So
think.
you want to go into executive session now, Tom?
I think that I think it'd be, generally we give away plaques.
Yeah.
And I think what would, here in this instance, we'd give a plaque, maybe give a little upgraded plaque. They could go on the wall, sort of a nice plaque.
We can do any number of things as long as we understand the cost.
Okay. So I think that's, okay. Did any other final questions on this?
No.
Okay, I think that's our only real.
So are we voting on this, or?
I don't think we need to vote on it, do we, Paul?
Well, is this your official policy? Then
Okay, yeah.
you would vote on it. 'cause
Okay, yeah.
This then
Sure.
memorializes the policy, and then,
Perfect.
so yeah, you should vote on
Okay, can I get a motion to approve this policy as set out in this memorandum?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Hope, would you call the roll?
Councilpersons Nardi,
Yes.
Nioras,
Aye.
Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor Carvin.
Yes. Okay. I think this is going to be my record for a meeting. Bring it
No,
to closure.
Billy's already beat you at 22 minutes.
Did he do 22
Oh,
minutes? All right. We started maybe a couple minutes late, I don't know.
It's already
Town
8:22.
assessor is busy with grievances. I understand Bishop is quite busy today.
Yes, there's substantially more people in the first session. I don't know how the second session is doing, but the first session, I think there were close to 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
We actually brought 20 extra chairs from Crawford Park to try and accommodate people.
Yeah.
And the second session, I think, runs from 6 to 8.
Okay.
So
So
should be over. I don't know if.
Well, I know just want to give a shout out to Town Assessor Knauer and her staff. I know they worked very, very hard to get the rollout. I know that basically, as some had anticipated, the values have gone up. A couple of things for people to remember at home. I think Rye Brook was up 9%, I don't know if we have the exact numbers, but in any case, I know Town Assessor Knauer made a presentation to the Village of Rybrook last week at their invitation. But let's just take Rybrook, for example. If the whole of the assessment in Rybrook goes up 9%, and the whole community increased by 9%, your taxes would stay the same. Okay? So the fact that your assessment goes up doesn't mean that your taxes will go up. However, if you're up 14 and somebody else is up 5, the person goes up 14, their tax will go up, and relatively speaking, the person who's only going up 5%. So what you have to do is look within your community, and again, just to be absolutely clear, just because your assessment went up doesn't necessarily mean your taxes have gone up.
Just
Please.
just to add to that, you know, the important thing to understand as well is that it's the assessor, although controls the assessment on the property, it's the municipalities that put forth the tax warrant that asks the assessor, a tax receiver and the assessor, to receive those taxes from each property owner. So, you know, you still have to, it's not just the assessor that affects your taxes, but you have to hold your elected officials accountable for their budgets. If they keep a flat budget, if they reduce their budget year over year, that's also impactful, and that's what we want to do, is have responsible budgeting on all levels of government.
That's an important point. Thank you, Deputy Supervisor Villanova. We simply allocate the tax burden here. It's the municipalities, the villages, the schools, and the county that basically generate the tax burden. All we do is allocate. And I do have the numbers here, actually. So the Village of Portchester residential was up 8%. Commercial was up 5%. The Village of Rye Neck was up 14%, and for residential, and 4% for commercial. The Village of Rye Brook was up 9% for residential, so I was right with that. And the commercial in the Village of Rye Brook was up 2%, so for an overall increase in the town of Rye of 8%. So, again, thank you for the hard work, Town Assessor Knauer. Mr. Byrnes? Well, you want to come up, we'll get you and Mr. Noto at the same time, just to go through our in-rem quickly, see where we stand.
This is our quiet period, just as before the July, the new in-rems. And we've had very good collections for 2015 for prior receivables. We have just short of $1 million in receivables as compared to like $450,000 in 2014.
Well, I see we, for the first time, I think this year almost,
This
we've
is the
improved.
first report.
What happened? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're up in collections for the first 5 months.
In fact,
by about
actually, Honorable Mr.
500,000.
Mecca, do you want to come up as well? Obviously, you're been instrumental and should get kudos for the hard work you're doing to generate this collection performance as well.
So the May report, the total receivables is a high water mark because it includes the make-whole to the villages through May 31st. It also includes the up-to-date through May collections for the county numbers, because between April and the first week of May we collect the county taxes. So from here, this is where we start to collect on the receivables, and then we have the make-whole number to the county by mid-October. So it is down. It's down from last year at this time, and it's up by about 500,000 from the previous year, May 2013. So we still have more work to do and more collections, but if we continue at this run rate, that's a positive and has to do with in-rem collections and the work of the tax receiver as well, along with the town attorney.
And Mr. Mecca and Mr. Noto, how we come along with our in-rems here?
Well, actually, the class of 14 is wrapping up.
This is page 7.
That's on page 7. At the top, we did get the decision from the court granting our motion to take title to a number of properties. And those are listed at the top of page. Brookchester Court, that's paid already. That shouldn't be there.
Yep.
That was an error. 16 Grace Church Street paid, so in full after the motion was returned. So we now have 4 properties that we can file deeds for. 560 Westchester Avenue, Hasseco Avenue, Rockland and Rockland. Reaching out to those owners to see if they want to make one last-ditch effort to make a final payment before we file a deed to the town.
Perfect.
And then next month, we'll start on our class of 15.
Next
Waiting
month.
for my list.
There you go. How's the 15th class looking?
Class of 15 will start in July.
Excellent.
Not the graduating class either.
No, I don't know how many do you think there are in that class of 15? You know how many we're going to have?
I don't know yet. No,
Okay.
right now, it's pretty heavy, but,
Really?
yeah.
Usually, I was hoping it goes down every year. The most
The
was
run rate is higher right now.
The what?
So the run rate compared to at the same time last year is higher.
Okay.
So
But we have been aggressively sending out notices, whatever, to get people to wake up and realize that they are delinquent, and some of them are substantially delinquent. Because if you have a commercial property and you let a year go by without paying taxes, it starts to snowball into some big figures, and that's what's happening, unfortunately, for some of the people on, which will have problems going forward. So we are tackling them a little bit to see if we can't get a jump or talk with them and say, come on, you got to wake up here. You have a problem coming around the corner. So
And
we will try.
Would you remind the people at home our penalty interest rates are exorbitant, right?
14%?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
14%. So it's great news for the town
Yeah,
and the town
it is.
taxpayers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I
I
don't
would say
think
that's
any bank
exorbitant.
is even paying
Well,
1.4.
14%.
Not for us. We're the other side, collecting it. Exorbitant for the
If
people
we were
paying.
private, we'd be usurious. What's the
Right, usurious, right.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Mr. Mecca. Other, please? Yeah, please.
I would like to remind everyone who's responsible for their village taxes, because it's June, and that's when we begin the first payment of the village tax. Portchester, you have a white bill. You are a 50-50, so your first installment is 50% of your bill.
June 30th?
Unless you prefer to pay the whole bill, which is better for everyone, then
And
you
that's
don't
June
worry about
30th?
that. By June 30th, that
Right.
is correct. In Rybrook, you have a 2/3, 1/3. Again, if you're ready to pay, which a few people have come on deck and paid full, then you don't have to worry about it. We have the money, you're paid, and there's no problems going forward, because the school bill is right around the corner.
Right.
Come September, it's out there, so, okay? So the yellow just indicates for processing, is in our office, that it's Rybrook, and the white is Portchester. Any questions, please call the office anytime. We're there to help you, okay?
And again, that's June 30th for village taxes.
June 30 for both, yes.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
any
Mr.
questions for me?
Mr. Mecca, any questions? Thank you
Okay,
for your
thank you.
consistently good reports. Okay. So, Mr. Noto, did you have anything else?
No.
Good,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank
Receiver, Finance Assessor, Town Clerk Vespia.
Okay, I'd like to mention that I'm utilizing the summer internship program, and we have a young lady working on scanning all the old payroll records.
Oh, wow.
We're obligated to save them for 45 years, and we've been getting requests over the years anyone that worked for the town, even as a lifeguard.
Really?
Yeah, and if they're working now in the system where they could accrue those years and hours that they worked.
45 years.
Right.
Wow.
And we have boxes and boxes from the time that we had the flood and them moving everything here. So we're trying to get everything scanned and indexed so that we'll be able to retrieve the information more readily. And
Is that a state requirement?
yes, it is. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, and it just takes so long because some of these workers were back to 83 or even before that, and to look up the months and the times and the hours and the pay. So I'm working on that, and also I brought one of those ledgers, panel ledger. It's one of the marriage books that we were talking about, and death books, and this is one that's a permanent record, and that we have to really
Wow.
work on getting this.
What year is
out.
that from?
Well, this is from,
I think that was from 1900.
yeah,
This
the
turn of
early
the century.
1900s.
Wow.
It includes death and marriage. For instance, this was 1908.
Wow. So what, do we need to fix those books and rebind them?
Yes, Mr. Nardi did some research for me. I did call up Linda Bowl, and she's the lady that works for the state, and she helps us with our grants. Right now, a grant isn't available, but we're going to go forward with at least 1 or 2 volumes right now, or three they're necessary. And I do have the amount in our budget for
Perfect.
preservation.
I called one place, it's in the city. The gentleman actually lives in New Rochelle, and he would pick up the books. I sent him emails of the pictures of the books, and it was $600 per book. But I also found another person in there, well, hope you found somebody. I made the phone call. I'm gonna make arrangements next week to bring a couple of books down and see, because the guy in the city said, well, you can send the pictures, but he's not sure until he sees it how damaged they are to give me an accurate price. So from what the pictures I sent them, he was $600. The other people, they want to see the books. They didn't want any pictures, no emails, but they're in New Rochelle, so I'm going to make time next week to bring a couple of books down. We got 3 that are really bad. This is the worst one out of the 6 that are in bad shape. So I'll bring them down and I'll see what it'll be, and I'll have it for the next meeting, how much it'll cost. Whether we do one book, well, definitely this book, but if you want
Well,
to do
what
the
is,
other.
What are they doing for 600?
what's in the budget?
And the other, I'll tell you right now, because I got the email here.
2,500.
I gave
I'll tell you
her
exactly what they're doing
budget
for the 600,
line item.
because that's like new to me with the. Okay. Give me one sec. Okay. For the $600, the pages would be resewn, the page block rebacked, new end papers, new book cover, stamping on cover, cost $600 each. I sent them pictures of all 6 books. So that's what his cost is, but the cost could be per book. But the cost could be more when he sees them, because I can only show so much on the pictures. I'm not a real photographer, but.
So that was $600, and there's another local person.
There's another local person,
So,
which I'm gonna bring the books to her, and they have a small shop in New Rochelle on Church Street. So
How much would it cost to photo the book and microfiche it or store it electronically?
We're not sure. We would need well, Dave Thomas was looking into it to get a scanner that would take care of this.
And is there any need to keep the physical book if we do store it digitally?
As long as we have it scanned, then it wouldn't be, but
Well,
I would say this.
I'll tell you this,
Just to see the handwriting.
I think we have to appreciate and understand the historic value of the book. And if we get it for
I agree.
if we get it for $500, I would suggest you have $2,500 in the budget. We go for the extra 5, spend the $3,000, and get all 6 books done.
My point being is the importance of the book, other than, historical records, is the actual information that's in the book. And if that could be stored digitally at less of a cost, might behoove us to take a look at that. We could still keep the book and store it as is, but we wouldn't need to bind it and.
Yeah, I'm also looking, like I said, I'm going to try the woman in New Rochelle, and I'm going to see where else is local, because a lot of the places you got to send the books out, and I don't want to send the books out. I want to do local, because I can send the pictures, but I got to send the book out to Indiana. I found one place in Indiana. I found another place in Washington. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it local, where I don't care if it's in the city or New Rochelle or whatever. There's a place in Norwalk. There's still a couple places I'm going to call to try to get the best price. So these 2 people aren't just the only ones.
I just want to mention a story. Last month, a woman called, and she was born in the town of Rye and planning to take her granddaughter to Italy, and she had to get a passport. In order to get the passport, she needed a copy of her birth certificate, and we were able to give it, take this and certify a copy, and she was so delighted. And she's in her 90s taking her granddaughter to Italy, and so.
Well, that's
something
wonderful.
That if we didn't have this,
That's terrific.
that we're obligated to do so.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks, and we'll look forward to hearing next month. Thank you so much, Town Clerk Vespia. Mr. DiCrescenzo.
Good evening. You heard Tom Ahneman's report, so we're making progress on Otter Creek. And the Village of Amerenik is making progress with the retrofit of the rails on Jefferson Avenue. That project should get underway next month. They have all the engineering done, so that should be taken care of next month, or they're going to begin the work next month. Any questions, concerns on any of the other items?
No, I want to thank you again for your diligent work. Thank you for bringing Mr. Ahneman here this evening. About the board, any questions for Mr. DiCrescenzo?
No.
Thank you for those consistently good reports. I appreciate it, Mr.
Okay.
DiCrescenzo.
Thank you.
Comments from councilpersons. Mr. Nardi?
No, I don't have any more comments.
Mr. Nardi? Mr. Nioras?
No, I'm hoping that you're going to break the record.
I know I'm breaking the Carvin record, that's for sure. Deputy Supervisor Villanova?
Yeah, just a couple quick items. Obviously, want to thank Blanca Lopez for coming here tonight and giving us the opportunity to share with our residents the safe and healthy homes in Portchester. Again, that's Saturday, June 20th, this Saturday from 9 to 3 p.m. And, something I've talked about in the past, but, affordable home ownership, I always feel, is better than affordable housing. And if we can make that change in the community where we can provide the opportunity for people to own a home, I think that we'd be taking a step in the right direction. So I urge everyone, if you're in the area and have the opportunity to attend this event. I also want to congratulate the Portchester Youth Baseball League on a successful season. Comes to a close this week. And also wish the Portchester Pirates travel baseball team good luck on another summer program. And in looking at all this, I found out, I don't know if many people know, but Portchester used to have a baseball team, used to be called the Portchester Clippers. And obviously it's a perfect, I don't know what the word I should use here, example of the Portchester logo. And you got a clipper on the logo, and the baseball team was the Portchester Clippers. So if anybody wants to take the opportunity, look it up online. And Portchester has a great history in baseball, and I'm just glad that they continue down that path. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor Villanova. Just quickly, one last thing, since we're talking about Portchester, all the various activities. I'll make you a small pitch for my charity. One World United Virtuous is going to, for the first time, working with the Carver Center and the school district, launch the Portchester Leadership Institute. And it's available to middle school students and high school students. It will be for free. It starts July 7th. It'll go from 5:30 till 7, 5:30 to 6:30 for middle school students. The idea is to bring people in from the community, so hopefully someone from this board would come and talk to the students from 6:30 to 7:30. Then from 7:30 to 8, the high school students will remain. And the idea is to help the students really get to know the community, get to know the world around them, and get to know themselves. And the goal is to really try in today's very difficult, competitive global economy to help students build their focus, their goal setting, and really a series of individual skill sets like time management, financial literacy, and those kinds of things to make them more employable, more civically engaged, and help us build a stronger, better community. So following on from the Portchester Leadership, it's the first summer we're doing that. If anybody has any middle school or high school students that be interested, please have them apply. You can do that online or simply contact myself. So I think I risked the record there, but thank you very much. Can I get a motion to bring the meeting to a close?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We got time for the game.
Perfect. There you go.